Hello, everyone. Welcome yet again to another episode of the Creators Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Jaye, and I'm so excited to talk to the guest today. We met just recently, really got into some deep stuff right off the bat, and so I'm so glad to have him on so we can talk more in depth about his life and his art and everything. So let's start from the beginning, my man. What is your name? Where are you from? And what do you do?
My name is Tyler, but I go by AKVMA. I'm from Los Angeles, and I mostly produce music for the most part of my life.
Fantastic.
I mean,
That's a good place to start as well, because whenever I first met you, one of the things I found most intriguing was your backstory. And your backstory is that you kind of have a background in film and like film creation, acting, that kind of thing. So why were you so into film for like so many years?
Okay, yeah. So I gotta think about this. So back like 10 years ago, maybe like almost 15 years ago. Jeez, 15 years.
Time flies, man.
I'm kind of thinking about this right now. Yeah. Right. So yeah, about like 10, 12, 15 years ago.
We're having an existential crisis on the podcast.
Dude, I already am. I just realized, like, wow.
Yeah.
This is really making me think about my life. So yeah, about 10 to 15 years ago, my parents were just constantly showing me like a lot of films, like very like fantasy driven, very sci-fi driven. I loved that. So like The Matrix, the Bourne Identity series. I love dude, that's such a good series. Yep. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Just so many movies, like, and there were just so many at this time because like, you know, computers were getting better, and basically there was a lot more abundant resources for films. So that meant there were more films coming out. There were basically more beautiful films coming out. Digital cameras were a thing, and that's when I realized that, like, oh wait, I can do the same thing. I have a computer. I have a DV camera. I just need to do something with it. So I have the tools. What can I do with it? So I figured out, like, okay, well, if I point the camera in this direction, run over here, say something, cut the camera, change it to this direction, say something the other way, I'm having a conversation with myself. And so I figured out the first conversation shot, and that totally opened up my world, which is, it's amazing. So like fast forward a few years, I've been using Final Cut Pro for 3 years, and I'm like 9 years old. if you really think about this, and I guess I kind of switched to Premiere because that's when Final Cut X came out, which I still kind of have a few issues with today. And I also was learning Adobe After Effects because I was huge into the YouTube scene, because I loved, this is like 2010, 2012, this is when YouTube was kind of like popping up, and that's where there were a lot of like, there was Smosh, there was Freddie W, Corridor Digital, and I was huge into like that like short form, like it's really action packed, but it also has like a comedic like twist to it, like it's, you know, setup punchline. It's like 5 minutes long, and it has a bunch of like visual effects and guns, and I was all about that. I was like, I want this. I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I figured out how to do it. I went to videocopilot.net and creativecow.net, which were like the two biggest sites for visual effects and stuff. Taught myself After Effects and Cinema 4D, and I still use those today. I still, you know, use After Effects and Cinema 4D today, and wow, it's crazy to look back on.
That's amazing, though. It's really, really cool, and you've put so much time and effort into it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Your realization that you could do what everybody else was doing, right? And then especially the timing of it, like whenever YouTube is popping and going off and everything. It's really super, super cool. There's a few ways that we could go with the conversation, but I kind of want to ask you this first of all. Are you still interested in filmmaking?
Oh yeah, I still am. Like if music doesn't work out, I'm gonna just go back to film.
Yeah,
because I think that will still work out for me, because I've been recently having a lot of these cool, like, I'm a huge anime nerd, like I love anime, so I've been seeing all these really like terrible live adaptations where they're not using the original owners. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, I saw the Full Metal Alchemist live, like, terrible. Death Note, terrible. I was like, what is going on over there? Like, what are these studios doing? I'm like, I can do this right. I can use the original manga, the original stories that were written by the original artists and the original writers.
Yep.
I'm not going to go off somewhere. I'm going to keep it straight in the line. And I'm not going to do a movie or something. It would actually be a proper show.
Dude,
like, that's
it's
what, like,
so awesome. No, I get what
and
you're saying
with-
completely.
Yeah, and then plus the with the what is it? You know, the Mandalorian, right?
Sure.
So they're like budgeted. It's super inflated, but they have this thing where they have a huge LED backdrop, and they're using a game engine to simulate like backgrounds and stuff,
Really?
which saves them a ton of time in post.
How interesting.
And now here's the thing though, that technology, like the software is free, which is super awesome because like I can just design everything for free, design all my set extensions for free.
Sure.
And then I can rent out for like $1,000 a giant LED wall and a computer.
Right.
Boom, I have, and then I just get a camera crew and all that stuff. But boom, I can make a sweet like $20 million show.
Yep.
For like
a total fraction of that.
$10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a huge fraction. Like it totally like it opens it up. But right now, the only reason it's not opening up is because jobs are being inflated and the industry is kind of tough to get into right now. But
yeah, for sure.
if we had that opportunity and if everything was like a lot easier to do, boom, everyone would be making stuff today.
It's really cool. I love your kind of mentality that you're kind of talking about right now, how you're looking for the opportunity and you're figuring out the process of how something's done and you're seeing how you could do it for yourself. It's kind of like a recurring theme ever since the beginning of your interest in film, even to now. It's really super awesome.
Pretty much.
Where does it come from? Do you know precisely where that creativity comes from or where that innovation comes from?
Oh, this is funny. So my parents will love this. So I'm a tinkerer. I love messing with things, unplugging and plugging shit back in.
Oh yeah.
And I've probably gotten to the back of my dad's TV so many times, and have like totally like I've gotten yelled at for that, of course. But,
Yeah.
but you know, all tinkerers do that. They all mess with stuff, and so they can learn how it works. Ting, you know, they learn how it works, and then boom, like okay, now what can I do with this? And that was kind of my mentality, is that like I can learn like
dude,
just
it
whatever
makes
I want
sense.
by figuring it out. And when what is it? Yeah, that's kind of it.
No, dude, I understand completely. It's funny because I can really relate to it. Same as you. Like, I kind of grew up like a tinkerer in my own sort of way. I had like an old, I don't know if you know the company VTech, the old VTech, like the mini laptops and stuff. They would make like small laptops just for kids to play with and everything. But I got one from like a neighbor and it had BASIC on it. And so I used BASIC to learn like the most simple version of like programming on this little kid's VTech computer. You know, and I was like, okay, how can I do programming? How can I make games on here? And you know, so same as you, like I understand, I can relate to that, like, you know, going into like the very basis of what something is and then finding out how to maximize on it and turn it into something even bigger than what it is, you know? So it's really awesome.
It's always fun like that.
It's so much fun and it's cool because I think that for us as creators, that's a part of the game, right? Like being able to do every single part of the process by ourselves. If it's music, then, you know, filming stuff, writing scripts, editing stuff, you know, acting
I
and
can do
stuff,
music
you know?
videos.
Yeah. And if it's for music, then it's mixing, it's mastering, it's sound design, it's writing lyrics, etc., etc. And I want to kind of ask you, because I know that you're really into music a lot in more recent times. What was that transition like? How did you get into music production?
Man, so yeah, this is now about 6 years ago, like 2013. Me, I was actually taking a film class at this time. Her name was Miss Bennett, cool person.
Yeah.
And so this was like around 8th grade, and I downloaded this thing called Cubase, because I saw my dad using it, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And it was this cool, like, sweet music editing app or something. That's what I thought it was, and I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this because I want to learn how to do music for my videos.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it to work, so I downloaded FL Studio instead.
Yes.
But I didn't know how to use FL Studio because I was like, it was super different to me and I didn't like understand it. So I figured out a way to rewire FL into Cubase. So I wrote all my MIDI in Cubase and then imported all the audio in from FL because I was ridiculously like complex like that.
I'm laughing, but it's amazing.
No, yeah, and what's cool was I think that was on my first like Windows PC too. So because that was the only way I could get FL to work. And oh man, that was such a fun day because I made so much tunes. Like I made so many like lo-fi hip hop songs.
Yeah.
What? Oh, okay. And I also made what was it? I made a bunch of like electro tracks and stuff. It was really fun.
That's so much fun. It's really, really cool for you to look back on it and kind of memorize it. But I find it so interesting how it's kind of intertwined with film, right? Because you're thinking like, oh, I need to make music for my videos, let's start moving about music production. And then like you just start making it and start picking up momentum, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, that's basically it.
Basically how it is. Yeah, exactly. No, it's really, really super awesome. But I guess coming into that, you kind of have an interest in film, you have an interest in music, you have a bunch of different responsibilities. How do you manage your time between all of these things that you have going on?
Oof, I sometimes wonder that myself.
Yeah.
For the most part, like right now, still like all of my creative art, my creative like necessities are still secondary. I would love to make them my primary focus. I would love to make it like my job. It would be amazing. Mm-hmm. But for now, I still got to focus on like, when's the next, due payment? When's the next, whatever?
Yeah.
When do I have to pay something? When do I get my next paycheck? But hopefully, my mentality in the future, and I really hope it's this year. I really hope this year I can just only feel like, you know what? When's the next song I need to make? But I also want to be excited about that because I'm always excited about making the next song. But I want to be excited making the next song, and then not having to worry about what my original primary goals were.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. I think that so many creators are in that same situation, right? Where we love music, we love painting, we love designing, but we still have bills to pay. We still got people to take care of. We have our mouth to feed, so whatever it is, and it's so hard to kind of find the balance there between everything. Do you think it's actually possible for you to make a living off of like video production and song production and that kind of thing? Do you believe it's possible?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, with the amount of open resources we have these days, Fiverr, Upwork, just any of those like job like websites that you can just make like a quick few bucks off of. I know people that make a living off these websites. It's just kind of crazy, and they're just doing small things for people. And I think, if you just want to like edit a few small like short videos for people online, go do it. You'll make like a couple bucks. That's worth it. If you want to make like a jingle or maybe like a full track for someone, like go for it. Like nothing's stopping you. And if you want to try to get paid in that way, there's so many like resources to like have that like middleman for you. And I just recommend it for everyone.
Yeah, no, dude, I agree completely. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of freelance, right? Because like you said, there is so many options available for us if we want to go into it. And so that being the case, there's so many options for us to make money on the internet and to do art for a living. Even though it's difficult, I admit, it's hard, it's challenging, it can be stressful. Yeah. What do you think it is that holds you back from actually going for that, in your opinion, right? Because, if we wanted to, we could just say, screw it, and just go do freelancing and everything 24/7. Why do people not do that, even though they care about it so much, in your opinion?
Stability. I think for some people it's not stable. Because art's a fluctuating thing. Like artists fluctuate a lot. There are days where we're super pumped. We're gonna pump out like 1 billion songs. We're gonna pump out 1 billion like art pieces. And then there's days where it's like I can barely write like 3 notes. And it's true too. Like we suffer from like writer. It's called writer's block, but like we suffer from this so much. And it's like, how do we get over this? Because now, what if that's your job? You have to how do you force creativity? You can't force creativity. It's hard on yourself and it's going to be stressful. And it's just something that like we as humans, it's really hard to like get over. And if doing it full time, like it's difficult on most of us because forcing that creativity would be very stressful, and a lot of people burn out from that really quickly. And so, but you see like a lot of bigger people, they have people that can help them, managing this, managing that, so they can just focus on making music. But a lot of the smaller people that are doing everything themselves, it's difficult because when they're just trying to make a quick buck for the day and they have to write a full song, it's not that easy. And but I really hope that people can find ways to get through the day or something and make that song or do this and find ways that they can get around their creative block, because when they do, like that's the biggest like there's no words that can describe that feeling.
Yeah, man, for sure. That breakthrough. No, absolutely. I
That
agree.
breakthrough, that's the right. Yeah,
It's
that's
a
the right
breakthrough.
word.
It is. And no, I think you're right. I mean, I think stability, like you said, is one of the biggest ones. Obviously, knowing that you're going to encounter writer's block at some point, But don't you think it a little bit comes down to, and I kind of thought of this as you were talking, I want to know if you agree or not, fear of responsibility? Do you think that plays a factor as well? Because as an artist, you're the one that has to create the art. You have to make the video. You have to make the deadline, make the podcast, make the song. Do you think it's a fear of responsibility as well or not?
It could be a fear of responsibility. I think people are different. I definitely agree with it though. It does exist. But I think it depends. I mean, it depends like with people having writer's block. Some people can just have no writer's block. It's kind of crazy. Like I've seen people that just like pump stuff out every day. I have a friend that does this every day. It's kind of crazy. And I wonder, like, do you ever get tired? He's like, no. Yeah. I'm like, how? I have to take days off. He's like, I just love doing it. I'm like, wow, I want to be like you. But yeah, for some people, it is definitely a fair responsibility because, owning up to what you have to do. And I mean, this goes for any job too, but like fear of responsibility is a big thing. And it will depend on every person, of course.
Yeah. No, great point. And I agree 100%. It does depend on every person's different situation. It's just, as we're talking about it more right now, I'm seeing so many kind of like equal situations between working at a 9 to 5 versus working online. Like, if it's writer's block for a creator on the internet, it's burnout working in a 9 to 5. There's so many things that are like equal there. It's just we think of them differently, because of the kind of the platform that it's on. So, to kind of rewind a little bit, I feel like that for both music and for video, like there's such a marriage that can happen there. What are your ambitions as far as like music and video, if you could share a little bit?
In general or for me?
And for yourself.
Oh, okay. So I do want to go back to writing and sound designing for film because that would be really cool. I did it a bit when I was in school, and I did a bit for a few college students here and there, but it was just like small time stuff. It was really cool because like music, like definitely like when I was younger, I never really thought of it, but like when I look back on it a lot, when I was like learning how to compose, I was like, wow, that really affected me. Like I still listen to the John Williams like Star Wars, but like it's amazing. Like how does he do that? How does he like literally like how do you conduct a full orchestra of people to do that? Like that's magic. That's black magic to me, and I will never understand that. Like I'm sitting here with my laptop, this dude's sitting here with a pen and paper, and he's writing that stuff. Like that's what like blows my mind, is like you can actually like really change people's mind with just a melody. But not even just one melody, thousands of melodies, different rhythms of percussion with thousands of instruments and thousands of people in a room. Like you can do that, and it's kind of crazy. And that's what I want to get back into.
Yeah, man, it's super exciting just hearing you talk about it. And it's interesting because I've kind of been on the flip side where I've been watching a lot of like videos and like movies and clips like that, and I've kind of been thinking to myself about how impactful film is. Like there's so many like specific like 2-minute scenes that I've just like been watching for the last 10-15 years. I keep going back to it because like my emotion that I have in that scene, right? And the same as you're talking about with like the music and John Williams and stuff like that. Tell us about, well, let's go ahead and talk about that for just a second. Like for you, like what are like the top 3 movie scenes or like film scenes? It could be TV show or whatever that you kind of keep going back to, if you have one.
Oh man,
you could do like top 2, top 3, or whatever.
Okay, so the movie Inside Out, there was a moment where it was, I mean, I'm trying not to spoil it, but it was basically near the end where basically everything starts to turn off. Like the girl's like emotions, like mechanical stuff stops working. And happiness, or it was like joy and sadness are like sitting there, like they're almost there, they're about to make it, and joy becomes sad. Joy, like the person that was so positive the entire movie, feels sad, and the music kind of drops out of it. and I mean I think this is like a Disney Pixar like trope, of course, but like where they cut the music, but that emphasizes that like that silence is really nerve-wracking, and that's what makes you cry. And actually, it reminds me of an old interview with Ben Burtt where he was talking about in Attack of the Clones, where when you cut the sound out at some point, it makes the impact more impactful. So in a music sense, when you cut the music out, it actually makes it more emotional for a scene.
Yes.
Which is like, wow, you don't realize it. It's so subtle, but it's true.
It's wild, isn't it, man? But it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's something they talk about a lot in Eastern philosophy about how like there is no sound without silence, and there's no silence without sound. Like, you know, whenever you have like the right understanding of it, like everything becomes art, right? Even like you were talking about, like silence becomes music, you know? And it's interesting because I see that for myself as a content creator. One of my mottos that I live by is everything is content. Because like as a content creator, anything could be content, right? I could be filming a dog on the street, you know, I could be making like a motivational video and I'm walking to work, you know? And so like whenever you're really looking for it, you know, in whatever art form you're in, whether it's content creation, video creation, song creation, like there's so many, I think, elements that we don't get to dig into, like silence in music, you know, silence in film, music in film, you know, whatever it is.
It's just so subconscious too.
It is for sure, man. Tell us about what lessons you've kind of taken from your early times of video editing and film creation, and how you applied it in the music world and learning about music.
Actually, it's funny. It's the same thing with silence. It's well, I guess the proper way would be is dynamics. Now, yeah, in music you do have dynamics, but it's more of a dynamics over time. So I kind of took that mentality because, like, in a scene you have rhythm, kind of. Basically, you have they're called beats in a script. So basically, you have moments where you're basically stopping and thinking. You have moments where you're moving. You have moments where you're running, or you know, there's some basically action and rhythm happening. And I wanted to kind of add that to my music, where there's a lot of basically rhythm and movement going on.
Right.
But there's also moments of here's a beat, and so I'm trying to do that with my music currently, where there's a lot of like moments of like straight up silence, or straight up like everything is slower, or moments of like
motion,
like craziness.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's one of the major things you took, and then from film editing to music creation. Then I understand that for sure. It makes sense. It's funny. I want to take it a step farther, because I'm thinking of this my own situation. I want to kind of see if it applies to your life as well. Do you notice like your film editing and like your music creation like affecting how you live your everyday life in some sense? Kind of what I'm thinking about specifically, because that might be too vague. It's just like you're talking about how like there's different like rhythms of like a film editing, right? Where it goes from slow to like speedy and all that kind of stuff. For me, like in my daily life, like I'm always using my body to like express things. And so like I'll use my hands like to, you know, express emotions, and I'll use my body to move and express emotions when I'm talking with people. You know, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm great. I'm just like expressing everything through like my body movements. I don't know if you have like a similar experience of some kind.
I don't know. Maybe I have. Maybe I just didn't realize it.
Right? It could be like a subconscious thing.
Totally, like I'm totally subconscious. Man, I really never thought of this.
Right? Isn't it interesting? But like as you were saying that, I was like, that's interesting. It's kind of like how humans move as well, you know, like 1 minute we're walking to get food, next we're running to make it to work on time, you know, and just like the way that our life movements, you know, kind of reflects like the same like video editing or whatever. Anyway, like we've talked about film a lot already, but I don't want to marginalize your music. For people who aren't familiar with your sound, how would you describe your sound?
Oh, erratic, crazy, definitely very like complex. I've gotten that where it's like, wow, this sounds like so complex. I've heard that from a friend of mine, which is really funny.
It's quite a compliment as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle
it's something
with
I never thought about.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people struggle with making complex music. I don't know, for me in my early days, like my songs were super simple. And it wasn't until I saw other people like making, you know, really complex tracks, I was like, oh wait, you can get that many layers in a song? So
yeah.
You know.
I mean, look at John Williams. He's conducting like 1,000 people. And it's like, dude, I'm over here with like 5 tracks on Ableton trying to figure out what to make my next lo-fi beat on.
For sure, yeah. And we talked, you mentioned already like how it can be hard with things like also with writer's block or time constraints. How often do you make music, generally speaking?
Oof. I changed it up recently, so it's about like 2 to 3 hours a day. I haven't been doing it for the past like 2 days though, but that's because I'm on vacation right now.
So 2 to 3 hours a day, that's a very specific number. Is it like a habit or like a scheduled thing for you?
No, it's very erratic. Like that's like the average, like from what I've noticed. But usually it'll sometimes be like 30 minutes, which is kind of crazy, and then sometimes it's like straight up like 24 hours straight. Yeah, I've done a 30-hour run before. It was not pretty.
Oh, that's epic though. It's definitely one for the memories.
Yeah.
So that being said, then, like, what triggers you getting in the studio? Is it like a burst of inspiration? Is it a feeling of like, oh, I haven't made music in 5 days, I need to make something? Like, what gets you in the studio creating? Obviously, it's different every time, but
it's there's only two things. It's either inspiration or it's my friend Chris, who is like, yo, check out my track, I just made something sick. And I'm like, I listen to it and I'm like really inspired. I'm like, okay, I gotta one up that because that was really good.
Thank you, Chris.
Dude, shout out Chris.
Yeah, right.
Shout out Moonly, bro.
That's
you should get him on here. He's an awesome person.
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. No, I'll talk to him after we finish recording. That sounds really, really fun, but it's cool. And we should go down this side path real quick. Something I'm a big supporter of, and I talk about it all the time, is having the right voices around you. I think people really can't comprehend like what an influence our friends have on us, our family has on us, like all those subconscious voices, you know. Like I personally believe that controls like a large part of our life, and so I think it's important for us to have the kind of right people around us. Besides Chris, do you feel like you have a good kind of support group around you?
Yeah. Most of my friends are online, but I do have a lot of friends in real life that I also have that are amazing. I have one right over here. Just sitting over there.
Yeah, dude, no, it's great. And you said the internet just now, but you know, as much as like hate as like internet friends get, like I think internet friends are incredible. Right? Yeah.
Oh no, dude. Internet friends is what helped me actually decide to pursue music, which is really funny. Yeah, like I totally like would respect because like so I'm on this server called Capacitive, and originally it was not called Capacitive, it was called Music Host, and I joined there. I forgot when I joined, but like it was like as I was starting music, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool so far, and they really helped me like foster that like idea of like I can do music, and they helped really push me forward. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, I know exactly, man. It's a great example right there, right? And the same experience for me, like it's been like internet friends have, you know, kind of what's given me, you know, strength to keep doing stuff and sharing stuff, and you know, meeting cool people from around the globe is always you can't say no to that. So no, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know like half of the people in Germany because that's pretty much most of the people I meet. They're like all German, which is really funny. And it's like, I'm like, oh, where are you from? He's like, oh, I'm from Germany. I'm like, I know so many people from Germany.
Then you realize you had like a German VPN running the whole time, like your internet's all running in Germany.
That'd be really funny.
Oh, that's hilarious though. That's really cool though. That's really cool. Jumping back to the music thing though, do you have like certain rules or methods when you're creating music? Any kind of guidelines you follow when you're producing a song?
I have a template because I don't want to have to set up a sidechain. I don't want to have to set up a pre-master. I don't want to set up groups. So I just have a template that's ready to go. It's got my sub/808 preset. It's got my drum stuff ready. So I can just go in, add an instrument or add a synth that I want to sound design in, and I can just go. And I don't have anything that's holding me back from that because I've learned that like having a template, I don't do this for editing because I don't think editing should have like a template system unless you're doing like a TV series.
Sure.
But with music where you're making something that's kind of where it's not repetitive, but like you're doing the same process where you have to set up the sidechain, set up the drum rack, set up the compression, set up the reverb. It gets tedious doing all this engineering loopholes where it's like I can just have it pre-set up for me and
well, and when you're producing on a tight time schedule as well, it's better to save time, you know, and get straight to the creation aspect of it.
Like like if I'm in a studio with a bunch of rappers and they just want me to make a beat, like I don't want to set up like the side chat. I just want to go for it. I just want to like I want to literally just import my drums, import my synths, or import my pre-made loops, and just make the beat. So that like in 30 seconds, I can make now like a quick beat, like a quick like 8-bar loop in 30 seconds.
Yep. That's awesome.
Versus like the 10 minutes that it would make get there.
30 seconds.
So,
I wonder if that's like a Guinness World Record.
Oh no, people have definitely made faster. I bet they've made
that'd be fun though to like look that up and find it. But yeah, then that's cool. And so talk to us a little bit on the geeky side of stuff, like as far as like plugins or VSTs or whatever. Like, what are your go-tos when you're making a song?
Oof. It's always Serum because I got Serum back when it came out, and I've loved it ever since. And yeah, it's Serum, but I've been using Faceplant. I've been using all the Kiloheart stuff recently, and I just bought a subscription because I've been using someone else's license code recently. So because I could not get it, but I was like, you know what, I have this thing. I'll just get the Kiloheart subscription right now. And I've never looked back. Like I still use Serum for like certain sounds because Faceplant can't do this one thing where it's you turn the random phase knob down and then you add a bunch of voices, but they all start in the same phase.
Okay.
And what happens is because they're at different pitches, they'll spread out and it causes this phasing effect or like a watery effect. But Faceplant doesn't do that. So okay, I guess I'll stick with Serum for that type of sound.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
But I have a template now inside Faceplant where I can just go in and because Faceplant is super modular, you have to kind of add the oscillator and add that stuff where it's kind of like Ableton. You have to kind of set up a template. So I set up a template for Faceplant, else I can make sounds really fast.
Awesome. So then does your song creation process start with sound design, or do you kind of like make a melody or whatever first?
Yeah, so that's true. It's kind of half and half. So it's either me making a bunch of cool sounds, and then either bouncing those out for later, or making a straight up like 8-bar loop with my sounds. Or sometimes I'll make an intro to my song. Like I'll probably riff something on my guitar because I love metal. So I love riffing some stuff down, or maybe I'll make some like melodic loop because I do love making. I want to add guitar melodic loops. If you remember when you heard the Mariana Trench song that I sent you?
Okay, yeah.
So that's me playing my guitar, but I'm playing it at half speed, and then I'm turning it up to 2 times speed so that it sounds like I'm playing it that fast.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah, so I want to do that for more of my music now, where it's like
that's so cool. It's really awesome, man. And it's even cool like knowing the backstory now behind that. I find it really interesting because most of the producers I talked to recently, and these guys like my close friend circle, but even people who I kind of know more distantly, like they're all saying that same thing. They're all saying, I want to put guitar in my music. I want to put guitar in my music. I want to have like organic piano or guitar in my music. I'm curious because I'm seeing a huge trend here, and I'm not even lying to you. Like 90% of the artists I know have told me that within the past month. Is there any like reason that you specifically want to put more guitar in your music? Have you always felt that way, or is it something that's like becoming more and more important to you?
I mean, it's kind of always felt like I've always wanted to do that because I love the sound of guitars. I mean, there's two tones. I love the sound of like delay heavy, where it's like it's very like fast and stuff and like repetitive, and I love the rhythm that it gets when I'm just playing eighth notes,
right?
And it's round and reverb. I love that sound for like melodics, and then for a lot of like my crazier, more electronic music, I definitely my dog. I definitely love I love the grittier sound of guitars because it just gives that visceral feeling of like when you hear it at a live set too, like guitars are crazy. Like they hit, like even though they don't hit the low end that much and they don't hit the sub that much, you still feel it somehow. And that's what I love putting in my music, is like that heavy, like dun 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 dun, like that crunch to it. Because like, you know, I can't make that with basses. I can't make that with synths. That's something like real I'm making, and like that's what makes it like really feel good.
That's
is
awesome.
That I'm putting something that I'm playing.
Yeah, no, it kind of gives it like an authentic edge, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
authentic or an organic edge. I'm curious though, because I wonder the reason. You may or may not have an answer for this. I'm not sure, but like, what has delayed you from adding guitar to your songs already? Was it like a conscious thing, or just subconsciously like you didn't have any guitar in? Like,
No, I
what's
just
steering you
completely
to play
forgot.
more?
I straight up forgot.
Okay.
I've been doing it more lately though. So
Okay, I see.
I have a bunch of work in progresses that I'm doing where I'm adding it more, and so
Yep.
it's also just really hard to set up.
Yeah.
Trying to find the right tones because there are no plugins that can get that tone. Like usually I'd have to mic up an amp and stuff and find the right position so that it's not phasing.
Yep.
And that's annoying. Like I want to just do it in the computer where I can change the tones whenever I want, but it's also hard to find tones because you have to find the right cab sims, you have to find the right amp sims, and so it's a process. But I've found the right tone, I think.
Cool.
So stay tuned.
Good. Yeah, we're looking forward to it for sure. No, you're right, man. It takes time, right? And I think it's kind of interesting because it's a recurring thing we're talking about. Everything from templates to having to mic up a guitar. Like, there is so much technicality that goes into music creation, right? You know, there's so much technicality. And so, you know, you get to a place whenever you've developed enough that, you know, half of your process is technicality. The other half is actual music production and composition, you know?
Dude, yeah. It's just like I realize now that like I'm more of an engineer than a producer, but I've become more of a songwriter now. Like I used to be the engineer guy. Like I just did everything that was like load this synth and make this sound, or plug in this XLR mic to this, you know, patch panel and record this drum. But now it's kind of like I now know how to do that, and I've found ways to get past that and become the songwriter, which is really awesome. So.
That is really, really cool. No, it's great, man. It's great. I think that life is kind of, I'm borrowing this from Bruce Lee, but life is like a process of self-discovery. You know, we're always learning more about ourselves, you know, as every year and every experience brings us closer to who we are. So it's cool that you've been able to, you know, kind of know who you are. And now you're able to create yourself as well, you know, and break through your barriers or your limitations to kind of unlock like new levels of yourself. It is really cool. What do you think are the biggest challenges or frustrations you faced as you continue this like self-development and this self-realization?
Definitely being frustrated with new ideas.
Really?
I think that's one thing. Tons of people struggle with it. Like it's when you come up with something new that you've never heard of. You have two thoughts, like, ooh, this sounds really good, people should hear this. But then you have two thoughts from there, where it's like, do people want to hear this, or you know, fuck it, I'll just put it out.
Yeah.
And then there's the I don't like this. Now, I know like people have this, like when they create something new, but you never know, like that new thing that you didn't like, someone might like.
Yeah.
And you never know that, and then you might learn to like it later on, but now you don't know how to do it again. So. That's like the thing we struggle. So the thing I've been doing is save everything. Save everything. And yeah, I know I just had a hard drive failure recently. So kind of,
oh my gosh,
which is
rest
kind
in
of
peace.
hypocritical to say, but it's
Before
funny.
that,
Save
you were
everything.
saving
If you
everything.
can save everything, do it. Because when you can, like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna refer like back like 10 years, and you're gonna see that old project you made when you were just starting out. You're gonna rework that, and then you're gonna have a new song. Because you're probably not going to have ideas in the future, and you're going to wonder, wow, I have this huge, massive library where it's like 5 terabytes of just music I've made, which is true. I do have a giant cloud. It's full.
It's full.
And it's just all of my projects.
Oh man, that's
Basically.
wicked. No, it's really, really cool. I agree 100%. It's funny because in my own personal story, same as you're saying, like I used to save everything, you know, whether it's short or long, just like one instrument or a bunch of instruments, I just save every project file. I have had the experience where I go back and I finish the song and I'm like, yo, that was dope, and I'm glad I saved that. But kind of the mindset I embrace more nowadays is put it out. So rather than just save everything, put out everything. Because
That's
what I've
true,
noticed,
actually.
right? Well, that's what I've noticed because, like you said, like I look back at my files and I have like, you know, several hundred gigabytes of unfinished tracks, and I'm like, why did I not just release that? Like, what good is it doing me by sitting on my hard drive, you know? Whereas, so
Basically,
like, yeah, you know, so like these days, if I make a track, like I guarantee you, I'm going to release it, whether it's perfectly what I wanted to say or not as good as what I wanted to say. Like, I'm like, it's not gonna do me any good sitting on my computer. Like, someone wants to hear this, I just put it out.
yeah.
Have
I'm
you
definitely
actually?
adopting that.
Are you okay? Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna. Yeah.
Well,
I got
I'm
some
curious,
like music. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it. Talk to me about it a little more, man. In terms of like your songs you haven't released, why do people not put out more stuff? Like, why have you personally not put out, some of the stuff from the past? Is there a reason?
Could just be fear of like no one's gonna like it.
Sure.
I mean that's like the easiest one to say, but I also think it's you're doubting your own creativity. That's one thing. It's definitely good to have like friends that are supportive. But when you have like the real producers, or you have the real people, the real musicians that are listening, I'm not saying real like in a sense, but I mean like people that are not your friends, like people that are like they do
some
that
level
for a
of
living.
success. Yeah. You kind of look up to them. Sure.
Like when they like listen to that and they judge you, like you're afraid of judgment. You're afraid that like the hard work that you put in is gonna be for nothing. Mm-hmm. And I know that is for me, but I've kind of overlooked that now. I kind of look like, you know what, screw it. Like, if I put it out, if no one likes it, who cares? Mm-hmm. Someone's gonna like it. Mm-hmm. Like, all I care about are the people that like it, not the people that don't like it. The people that don't like it, I want to know what I can do better. And that's really what I hope people adopt as well, is because, like, if you can have that mentality, if the people love it, like, celebrate with them. Like, For the people that don't like it, ask them questions for what you can do better. Mm-hmm. Now, if they don't have a valid response, who cares what they say? If they have a valid response and they have criticism that they want to give you what you can do better, take that criticism. And it might suck, it might, like, hit your ego, but, like, you got to look past that, and you got to look like, you know what, maybe there is something wrong.
Yeah, man.
And that's what I've been doing more.
Go off, bro. That's great stuff. I love hearing that, man, and I agree with it 100%. Like you said, a lot of it comes down to insecurity. A lot of it comes down to doubt.
Insecurity, yeah.
Insecurity, doubt, fear of failure, fear of judgment, and I think those are all situations that all of us collectively experience, whether we're a creator or not a creator, and it's so hard to break through that kind of feeling, right? You're kind of moving out of it yourself, you mentioned. Was there specific situations that helped you overcome it, that made you like realize, oh, wait a minute, this is insecurity? Or was it just kind of like a process of growing up or whatever?
No, I mean, I was kind of just doing the same thing. Just get up, get on my computer, do a few things, start working on music, because I was having massive writer's block. And I realized, I was like, wait, what am I doing? I kind of just like, I sat back and I was just like, I need to stop doing this. And I just got up and I walked outside. I walked for like 5 hours straight, because I was just like, I need to like really like just kind of open up my eyes. And I was walking around my neighborhood for 5 hours straight, just exhausting. And I just kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna like do something different. I'm gonna tip the scale in my favor. I'm gonna just mess everything up that I was kind of, because like I was in a really bad habit. I was in a really bad schedule. So I just decided, screw it, I'm gonna just do something different. I'm gonna really change up my schedule. And so that's
awesome.
I literally just changed everything up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just produce music at night instead, not during the day. Because from what I remember, I used to produce at night a lot better than during the day. Because during the day, I didn't know what to do. But when I was for some reason, like, I'm a night owl person, so like I'm usually like up really late. Dude, high five.
High five, man. Come on. Dude, it's wild,
It's like what, 2 a.m. on your time, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, people are shocked. I tell them, I'm like, I don't go to bed until 5 a.m., 6 a.m., sometimes 7 a.m. And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's it's been normal for me. Someone was talking to me about insomnia, and I was like, you don't have insomnia. You're a night owl. Like, I'm a night owl too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. Like, I thought I had insomnia, but it's like, no, I can go to sleep fine.
Yep.
I think better at night. I don't know if that's because everyone's asleep and I don't have to like worry, or because I do have people in the house, but it's like, I don't know. I never really thought about it, and I don't really have a certain answer. But like, night owls make the most interesting music, or make the most interesting art in general. Yeah. It's weird. Like, being a night person has kind of changed my view of what I can do. So like, I stay up to like 2, 3. I mean, you're up till 5, but like,
I'm like an exception or whatever. But yeah,
you're interesting.
Yeah.
I'm up till like 3 a.m. And I made a ton of music recently, just because I decided to change up my work schedule. Yeah, I wake up super late now, but who cares? I'm a lot happier now.
Yes,
I'm making more music.
Dude, please say it again. This is so important for us to talk about, man, for real, because I don't know. I think that traditionally, like in textbooks or in the news or whatever, like everyone's like, go to bed early, wake up early. And that's just never been the case for me. Like for me, like if I look back at my childhood, like I was always a night owl, going to bed at like midnight, 1 a.m. My mom had a late night schedule as well, so it was just natural for me as I got older to kind of adapt more and more to being a night owl. And like you said, allotting more time to content creation in the evening as well. It's quieter. Yeah. I feel more focused. You know, I can take breaks and go walk outside and nobody's up. I can just be by myself out in the night air, you know? So I'm just completely, I think that we need to embrace who we are instead of trying to like change who we are in a lot of ways, you know? So instead of like saying like, oh, why am I not in bed at 10 p.m.? Why am I not in bed at 11 p.m.? Just be like, I'm not in bed at 10 p.m. Okay. I'm going to do something better with my time. Yeah,
I just stopped caring about that. Like, I was just like, I don't care about my sleep now. Like, I'm making music.
Yeah.
And like, and here's the thing, like, because like I was going to work for a long time, and I decided, you know, like I have to kind of like get up and go do my thing, and I got into that rhythm, and I'm breaking that cycle because like in high school I never slept.
Yep.
I never slept. Like
who did? Who slept in high school? Tell me who slept in high school.
Actually, yeah, no one. Like, no one in high school slept. It's kind of funny. But like, yeah, I just never slept because like I didn't want to do my home like I didn't want to just do homework. So I would make music the entire time, but I kept doing music, and so I got into this habit of doing music till like 2 a.m.
Yeah, dude.
And I decided to get back into that rhythm because I felt happier doing it.
That's the important thing too, is like being happy doing it, right, man? Like I love that so much. I think that you were able to be honest with yourself, and then you were able to kind of look at your patterns as well and identify, like you identified your patterns, right? You were like, wait a minute, I used to make music at night. Why am I not doing that now? I'm happier doing this, you know, like, so the self-honesty, you know, the looking at your past, the implementation, like valuing happiness as well. It's really, really super encouraging to hear you talk like this, because I think so many people struggle with it. Was it hard for you to be honest with yourself and embrace being a night owl? Or was it just something like...
it was more relieving.
Yes.
Because, like, it was like, oh, you know what? What was I doing this entire time? Like, I was more embarrassed for the fact that I was not staying up at night, which is kind of funny. So now that I do stay up at night, I sleep so much better. Because I'm not worried all the time, like, I'm not doing music, what am I doing?
Yep.
Now I am doing music. Fuck it, I don't care if I wake up at like 1 p.m.
Dude, it's awesome, man. I love it. It's really, really cool. I kind of want to ask you this question, and it's a little bit maybe too deep, but just answer it however you want to.
Go ahead.
What is happiness to you? Because you mentioned you're happy like doing music at night. Like, do you have a definition for happiness, or you might have never thought about it? And that's totally fine as well. But
it's super abstract when I really think about it.
Right.
Happiness to me is, dang.
It's kind of deep, right? And I've kind of noticed that talk to more and more people. Like, a lot of people don't have a definition for happiness. Like, they don't know what happiness is, you know? And so, like, when I ask them, like, oh, they're happy, they're like, yes. And then I'm like, why? And they're like, I'm not sure. You know? And they're like, actually, I'm not sure if I'm happy now. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But, you know, I think it kind of is important, though, for us to be honest. Like, you talked about being honest with your schedule. I think the same way about being honest, like, with our happiness, like, what we value, what's important to us, or whatever, you know?
You know, I kind of have maybe some vague description.
Sure, go ahead.
Happiness to me is constantly creating because, well, I mean, having time off, but constantly creating because, because...
But if I could do both of those, it's perfect.
Oh my gosh, if I could, that would be amazing.
Yes.
Someone please, Elon Musk, please invent that. I would love to just be creating all the time because nothing makes me, like, happier except person over here, but but you know, I love making music, I love making art, and if I could do that 24/7, sign me up.
Do it, man. Do it 24/7, 365, man.
365.
Do it. And in that same vein, I kind of want to flip it over because, like, being an artist, you know, and creating 24/7, a lot of people start thinking about their image, how they're perceived, how people see them, what kind of like the content they're putting out in the world. They're like thinking, does this portray me 100%? You know, is this how I want the world to see me or whatever? You know, and we think about that so much. I think we're influenced a lot. I'm talking specifically to like us as like creators in the creator community. We're influenced so much by like the greats, you know, who do it. You know, like Porter Robinson, like he only comes back once every 5 years, but when he does, you know, he's crafted this entire like world that we can all delve into and enjoy. Skrillex, like the iconic haircut, you know, and even like with like K-pop acts as well, they have to have like the perfectly image, you know, for every comeback, you know. So for you, what are your thoughts on artistic image? Do you care about it? Do you value it? How important is it, etc.?
Okay, yeah. If it's artistic image, then yeah, I think it is important because it's gonna help you stand out from a lot of people. I don't think it needs to be like personal. Like you don't have to be that every day. I know like there's people like Sultan. Like I mean, he has a legit reason for keeping his identity a secret, but it's also really cool. There's Marshmello. There's Skrillex. Who else? I mean, there's a ton of people with this brand behind. Oh, Barely Alive. Yeah, like they. I mean, with the whole helmet thing, but like they have like a brand behind that where it's kind of like this '80s retro feel to it. And even my friend Mansour was telling me recently, like image is everything. Like if you have a certain style, like show that in your visuals, show that in like your like aesthetics and stuff. And so I think that's really important. Yeah, shout out to TV. But yeah, visual aesthetics are definitely going to influence your music as well. But it's also going to influence how people perceive your music. And so that's why I changed my brand, because I feel like Catastrophe was conflicting with my music, and it wasn't really like working out with how I wanted it to work. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna flip it. I have this sort of style, and I guess this image kind of fits.
Sure, makes sense, man. And then like going into your new the new moniker, AKVMA, like how did you choose that name?
I literally just like I don't know. I just kind of heard I heard it in my head. I was like, that's kind of a fun. Like I should do that. And then when I changed it, someone on a random Discord was like, Akuma Matata. I was like, I got Lion King. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? That joke's gonna happen. And I was like sitting there like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But then I was like, oh, you know, it's kind of cool, I guess. And when I went to a recent event for Audius, and there was this one guy there who was like, oh yeah, Akuma means evil in Japanese. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, it's an actual word?
Oh, actually, you didn't actually know then?
No, I didn't know.
How interesting.
I just thought it was a really cool word, and I was like, that would be really cool to... And it starts with an A, so it's going to be, top letter first. So
yep.
I was like, I guess I'll just change it to that. But I didn't want to put it... I didn't want to put a U because I felt like that would just be weird. So I put a V, so it's kind of interesting, and it's also easier to make logos with. And it also stands out more.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's wild. So then, like, I'm so curious to hear that though, because I thought for sure you kind of knew like the meaning behind it.
I didn't know, but I found out recently, and that now makes sense.
Okay, all right.
So,
I'm just curious, like if it was like if you literally just like chose something that sounded good, or do you think maybe like you had heard the word before and it was subconsciously in your mind buried really, really super deep?
Maybe I heard it in an anime somewhere. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But like I loved the word because it sounded really cool in my head. I was like Akuma, and it was simple. It was short in letters because catastrophe is like catastrophe. It's like it's like 4 to 5 syllables ish.
Yep.
And Akuma is 3, and they're hard line, and you can remember that a lot easier. You can also remember the stupid B thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, that just makes more sense. And when I looked up the definition, when I was like evil, I was like, oh my, I have some music that's kind of evil. So
I was like, this is coming together.
So I was like,
the evil laugh. Yeah, precisely. So, it's really cool. It's a cool origin story though, and then like to unpack it more as it goes on. So tell us, kind of looking to the future then, like what does the AKVMA project look like in your opinion the next 2, 4, 6 years?
Definitely more electronic music is going to come out. But I also do want to do a lot of different music, so it's not just dubstep, it's not just trap, it's also kind of future bassy. Like I do want to get, because I used to do that. It was like the second genre I've ever produced.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even do dubstep until like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
But I really want to get back into future bass because I love doing that. I love writing interesting chord progressions. I mean, I still do, but like I just kind of do it for fun, and I want to find like a way to release it. I want to find a way to integrate it with my music, and I think I found a way.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that.
All right, that's incredible, man. That's super incredible. I did ask on Instagram. I asked some of my followers to ask you questions, stuff they wanted to hear from you. And so one of my followers, and I think you might be friends with him as well. I'm not for sure. Nick goes by the name Unisoner.
Unisoner, yes.
Yeah, incredible
He's
dude.
awesome.
Love him to death. He asked, and it's kind of related to this question, that's why I'm pulling it up now. He said, "Do you see your future in the dubstep scene or some other music markets? If so, which ones?"
Oh man, I don't know. Because it's interesting. Like we all saw Skrillex leave the dubstep scene like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he started doing the thing with Jack U. He started doing the thing, the Beebs, and then he started doing stuff with other people. But I also really like the new style that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of influenced me a lot, like with the Show Tracks EP. I love, oh my god, the Show Tracks EP is so good. I could not, like when it came out last summer, I just kept listening to it on repeat. And like I couldn't get like that, because that's the sound that I was trying to go for, like that very like visceral, like melodic feeling, but it also like hits the feels, but it's also like aggressive too. And so I was like, that's really cool, and I kind of want to do that for my music, but I also kind of want to keep it like dubstepy. But I'm kind of struggling like to find an answer, because like I do love making dubstep, and it's always fun. Because like I'm a huge metal nerd. I love metal, and I still haven't been to a metal show. It's really funny, but but I really want to. Because dubstep is like the closest thing I can do, and the closest thing I can listen to. I would love to continue doing that, but who knows? Maybe I might not, but I would love to.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Very, very good answer there. And then kind of in the same vein, because you just mentioned about Skrillex and everything, another follower asked, the username is Stella KML, and they asked...
Oh, Stella Kimmel.
And they asked, how do you continually seek out new musical inspirations?
Damn.
Man, dude, all of your buddies are asking like the hard questions, the real ones.
Damn. I know my friends are the real ones. So, Spotify on shuffle. Just I either that or you know, SoundCloud. I mean, I use Audius now, but like SoundCloud, if you go on SoundCloud, you just like shuffle on a random genre, you'll find something interesting. And or YouTube. I mean, there are literally a ton of YouTubers that just review music. Chris, my friend Chris Moonlibra, he had his song reviewed by this Russian YouTuber, which is so random. And so like he got a bunch of Russian comments, but yeah, because like someone was like listening to his music, it was cool. Because so like finding these aggregators that like take a bunch of music, or curators that find a bunch of music, and they're like, yo, you should check this out. Like, go to those people. And if you really vibe with someone, stick with them, because they're gonna have the best music. You know, I go to like the Dub Rebellion or Dubstep Gutter. Those are like the two places I still go to for stuff. But I also go to my SoundCloud, I go to my Spotify, and I'll just click shuffle on any random genre. And if I find something really cool, I'm gonna look into the artist.
That's epic, man. That's epic. Yeah, we've all fallen down the SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify hole before. There's so many cool sounds to hear out there for sure. We do have one more question from another follower, and you and I are both very familiar with this act. In Fowler has a question.
David.
And In Fowler asks, what and who makes you inspired? Hi, Tyler, in quotation marks.
Hi, David. We really need to talk, you and Hugo and I. I'll also follow up with something funny about that. Or you already know about this. Okay, so never mind. But who keeps me inspired? That's difficult because it's always changing. Right now, it's Porter Robinson because of Get Your Wish. So, but who keeps me inspired? Oh my gosh, why didn't I should really know
It
this.
could be a thing as well. Maybe it's an activity or other piece of content that inspires you. But who or what
That's
makes you
true.
inspired? There's probably several things, obviously.
I'll just pull the old card. I think this is what David wanted me to say.
David inspires you. Thank you, David.
Yeah, David. Yeah, thank you, David. It's Virtual Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I first heard about him through this Serum tutorial, where he was basically like, because I was trying to learn Serum, and now here I am today. But like, I just met the guy recently, which is really cool. Like, it was really cool, and he's totally like that in real life. Like, if you see him in videos and stuff, if you see him, like, he's exactly the same way. He's like really upbeat, and that's like, I want that lifestyle. Like, I want that constant upbeat lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I'm getting there. And he's the guy that definitely, like, musically, hella inspires me. Lifestyle, even more inspiring. Like, I don't know how. Like, that's why I want to be that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like that happy with what I'm doing.
That's super, super cool. No, he's a great guy for sure. And his music is incredible, consistently incredible over the last decade or however long, he's been doing music actually. But yeah, no, super, super cool guy, very influential. And then talking about, wanting to be like him, and you mentioned already kind of your goals for like the far future. What is the stuff you want to work on this year specifically for your projects?
Oh, putting out an EP. I'm currently working on that right now. So hopefully I'm going to put out an EP somewhere. I don't know if I'm going to just self-release it. I definitely want it to be an Audius exclusive. So just because like I love that platform now, and I definitely would love it, all my traffic to go there, because it would show the sound of my EP a lot better, just because it also, the quality is better. And I want people to hear the full quality of my music. And so putting out an EP, maybe a few singles. I'm working on a potential music video. It's not for the AKVMA project, but maybe I should probably, if I ever have a song come out, I should probably do an AKVMA music video, because I do want to do that. I don't see a lot of like dubstep artists doing that. And like the only time I've actually seen that, and it's not dubstep, it's Julian Gray. He actually does. I've seen a few music videos of his, and they're actually like really beautiful looking. And like, Skrillex had a few, but like, it's very abstract, and I want to do something that's very narrative. So I would definitely love to do a music video for a dubstep song. Who knows?
All right, fantastic, man. So looking forward to an EP and possibly a music video later in the year. All right, man.
Yeah.
Sounds really, 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 really cool. Lastly, to wrap up this kind of the future, we're talking about the future right now. Like, if you could wrap it up real quick, say something to yourself in 1 year.
Please make better music, and please inspire more people.
All right, man. Yeah, it's a good message for absolute sure. Yeah, I love it. All right, man.
I will actually look back on the year.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm gonna pull it back as well. I'll have it on social like 1 year from the day of release, and like start tagging you a bunch and say, "Hey, do you remember me? Like, you said this to yourself."
Oh yeah, I'm gonna remember you.
No, I'm just messing around. Anyway, for everyone who comes on the Creators Lounge podcast, we have one final section of the show, and that is a speed round. I'm gonna ask you a question very quickly. You give a very quick response. Are you ready?
Okay, good. Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get into it. 3, 2, and 1. What is your favorite color?
Soft red.
What is your favorite food?
Pizza, specifically mod pizza.
What is your favorite day of the week?
Saturday.
Favorite movie?
It's this Korean movie called Psychokinesis.
What is your favorite song at the moment?
Porter Robinson, Get Your Wish.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Crunchyroll.com.
What countries do you want to visit?
Japan, France, Germany, England, the Philippines.
What languages do you speak?
English, but I'm trying to learn 2 other languages at the moment, Mandarin and Japanese.
Very good. Name one person alive or dead that you want to have a conversation with. Dead or alive?
Chester Bennington.
Okay. And
that would be awesome.
It would be. How do you want people to think of you?
I hope nerdy, hopefully a good musician. I hope people think of me as a good musician.
All right, man. That was the last question for the speed round. Tyler, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts coming on today. Before we go for
Thank you so
officially,
much.
is there anything you want to say to the audience personally?
Hi, Mom, I'm famous. And shout out to everyone that's helped me get to this point. I definitely want to help everyone get to that point too.
Right. That is so fantastic. Guys, I really encourage you to keep an eye on his SoundCloud page, his Audius page, every single piece of content he puts out, because as you guys heard from today's episode, he's got so much creativity. He's also got so much drive. And when you put together drive and creativity, some amazing things unfold. So please keep your eye on Tyler, aka AKVMA, as he continues to rise and succeed in the future. I want to thank you guys again so much for watching. I will see you on the next episode, and take care. Hey fam, Jaye here. Thank you guys for watching that episode of the Creators Lounge podcast with special guest AKVMA. I'm always glad to produce these episodes and share them with you guys. I hope this one was really fun for you. Also, I would really appreciate it, of course, if you guys could help my journey by donating either this link or on PayPal at this email address. As you guys know already, I work a full-time job and I'm making content in the evenings and the weekends, and it would mean so much if you guys could help support me in the journey to make better content and more content by dropping some donations at those links. So links are also in the description box below. Thank you so much for the consideration. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.